Okay,
Okay.
let's continue. Okay, so we've did the first two of choice, of judgment and rationalization, and we're on to another one now. Right, this one's a little bit different to the extent that denial works with a few other basically tools. Okay? So, for us to completely, flat out, just simply deny a situation, we won't do that. Okay, so what do we do? What else do we need with denial to make denial work in our lives?
Rationalization.
Yes. That is the denial. Every time that you're rationalizing your pain, you're in denial of the truth. Okay? So rationalization is the ego coming up with the reason why you're in pain, and that reason has always got to do with another person or something in the world.
In the past.
Doesn't matter. So denial, okay, we're all in a state of denial every time we rationalize. So what else do we use with denial? What happens when you rationalize? Automatically.
Blame.
No. Automatically. The moment you rationalize, something else occurs.
You abdicate responsibility.
Well, that is what a rationalization is.
You project,
Victim.
Before projection,
suppress.
suppress. And then automatically, the moment that you suppress anything, you
Project.
project. And then you
Blame?
React. React.
Oh, yeah.
here's the key. Okay, and this is basically what forgiveness is. Okay? Forgiveness, everything you react to in the world is something you have denied.
Something you have what?
Denied. Okay? So in the process of denial, you've used rationalization, and what you're really saying is, I could turn around and say, Josh, you really hurt my feelings by what you said. Okay? The moment I would say that, I'm blaming an external force or external something for my pain. The moment I do that, suppression comes in, projection comes in, and I will basically project that out because I'm playing the victim and you're the victimizer. Okay? You can't be the victim for very long because the moment you take on the role of the victim, you will soon become the victimizer. Okay? In the course, we learn that the victim and the victimizer are the same. So everybody who has been victimized, is a secret victimizer who is just waiting to displace that guilt onto someone else. Okay? All of this occurs because we are in a state of denial. So what are we denying?
That we create our own reality.
Yeah. What's the one fundamental thing we're in total denial of?
Our divinity.
Love. All the ego's forces are out against love. That's why the ego has all the defenses against forgiveness. Go ahead.
So then, would it follow that taking responsibility is always the most loving thing you can do?
In this world, it's a reflection of the love of heaven. There's no greater love in this
I
world.
knew that line from the Course, but I never really understood. So this is what it means?
This is what it means.
Okay.
Okay. All the loving things that you think you do in the world, okay, who's doing them? When you give love to someone or send love to someone, can you really do that?
It's really the divinity within us that's doing that.
Yeah. Well, basically, there is basically only oneness. So no matter who you're giving love to, you're giving it to yourself. It's like if you buy into the concept of oneness, what does that mean? Okay, and this is what we're in denial of. We're in denial of our divinity, of love, of our oneness. Yeah? The ego has to be in denial of that because the ego is everything that those three are not. Alright? So when you're in complete denial of your oneness, you do that by basically now finding someone who is different to you. And if you can find someone who's different from you, that means they're separate from you. Now that's denial. You're denying the oneness. You're saying this person is separate to everybody else. Or you might be thinking that I'm different to everybody else. I'm better than other people. Or I could think other people are better than me. Doesn't matter. We have been in both of that camps, haven't we? Okay? All coming from a state of denial. This is denial. Every time you blame someone for something, you're in denial of the truth inside you. You're in denial of oneness. You're saying that this person is separate and the separation is real and the ego is real. If you make this world real with all of those thoughts around it, then you're going to feel a hell of a lot of pain. Because that's the choice that you're making. Remember, free will is this. You can have everything that heaven is not, or you can have heaven. You can't have both. You can't have all the lovely things in this world and escape all the pain that's in this world. Now that might sound depressing, but that's only a first step. Because what you need to do is let all of those things go. All the good things, all the bad things, all the things are right, and all the things are wrong. Just temporary. Remember, this is just a state of mind that you're trying to attain here. And you need to flip it, turn it round on itself. Okay? And now just look at everything you're in denial of. And that is our oneness. So that means if there are 8 billion people in this world now, that is you fragmented 8 billion times, having 8 billion experiences right at this one moment in time. Now, you can't just choose all the beautiful experiences, all the beautiful people. To be truly at one with everybody that's raping, murdering, killing, crucifying, you name it, you're at one with them too. This is the most difficult part in the concept of oneness. Everybody wants to be one with all the great people, all the successful people.
Even the tax collectors, we have to be one with them.
But Jesus demonstrated, that's what that demonstration was. He sat with the murderers, basically the prostitutes, you name it, whatever. It was just a metaphor that he is one with everybody. He didn't set anybody, he didn't see anybody as good or bad, he didn't see anybody who was right or wrong. It was a walking demonstration of A Course in Miracles that was to come 2,000 years later. And if we have time later on, I might do a couple of Jesus' parables, tie them in what he was talking about in the Course. You know? So, you know, all of this and what we're doing here and everything, right? These are all effects of your denial of the oneness. So if you want to speed this process up, and you really, you know, want to get your head around the oneness, spend your time now looking at everything that you can't accept. And find a way of looking at it a different way. So when Jesus says turn the other cheek, okay, he didn't mean turn the other cheek so I can slap you over it again. So when Jesus says turn the other cheek, what was he saying?
Reinterpret.
Forgive.
Reinterpret.
Yeah, both of those are right. Look at this a different way. So if I'm looking at it this way, and all of a sudden I get a slap and this hurts me, alright? He's not talking about someone punching you or anything like this. He's talking about basically life. You know, we're getting slaps in the face all the time. Who's slapping us in the face?
Us.
Okay? But we have given that power to the ego. So the ego slappers. So Jesus is saying, look at this from a different perspective. Look at this a different way. Turn the other cheek. Look at this. And remember, that's how the Course started. When Bill said to Helen, there has to be another way. That's what triggered off the whole Course. And this is the other way. But everybody that's doing the Course has to learn that.
Who said there has to be another way?
Helen and Bill.
But Helen was totally neutral and didn't even want to do it.
Well, you're speaking like you actually didn't know her.
Huh?
You're speaking like you knew her. Did you know her?
No, I read the book.
Yeah. Well, you see, ultimately their relationship was probably one of the most volatile relationships there was.
Oh.
So don't read into that. The way it was Helen had her mind open that she received this, and Bill was there, the collaborator, to help her to basically
Right.
bring this out. That was it. The rest of it, don't get too much interested in. So, again, this is what the whole Course is about. This is what forgiveness is about. But forgiveness is only one part, small part of the Course. So imagine if you're practicing forgiveness, but you're still using all of these. Nothing's going to change. So you need to get your head basically around the big picture. Remember what I said? This is like a dial. Okay? Forgiveness only gets the whole thing started. You have to learn, master all of these, where you're using them in your life, and let them go. Because as long as you keep choosing, and we're on this default system here where we automatically choose the ego every time. Okay? And this is one of the biggest ones here, because we're in such a state of denial that we need rationalization here to cover up that denial. So if I'm so sure that Josh has hurt me, I'm not going to listen to him any other way, am I? I'm not going to turn the other cheek. I'm not going to want to, because I want him in the bad room. Because I can be in the good room. Isn't that right? So that's total denial. The split mind of right and wrong, good and bad, is the mind of total denial. And that we're projecting that mind out all the time. So, if you can really look at oneness, we'll come back to that in a little while, but this is basically here, this is what forgiveness is. Okay? Everything you react to, if you take responsibility, you're undoing the denial. Now, you won't be rationalizing, you won't be suppressing, and you won't be projecting out your guilt or anything else. This is where the Eastern philosophy meant emptying your cup. Rationalizations will overflow your cup. Okay? So remember, the goal here for you to enter into the awareness of your higher self is to attain complete emptiness.
Easier said than done.
You get your head around it. It ain't that difficult. Once you get the process of this, once you can get your head around, say, this concept, okay, what forgiveness is, what you're, because when Jesus says, forgive your brother for what he didn't do, your brother's not in a state of denial, it's you that's in a state of denial. You projected that shit onto him, and now you want him to take responsibility for it, you want him to change all this denial. Okay? So forgiveness says, okay, you didn't do this because I reacted to it. It's my responsibility. That's forgiveness.
But, well, I do that and it still doesn't seem to make any difference. I've been trying to do all that and it's still, go through that whole process and it's still...
One word I want you never to repeat again in my presence.
What's that?
Try it.
Oh, okay. So,
Because people insert that word who have made up their mind they're not going to do it. Because you're giving the ego a loophole. You're going to try to do this. Good intentions. Remember what Ken Wapnick said about good intentions? Royal road to hell.
yeah.
You have to, when you're subconscious, we talked about it. You have to give clear, direct instructions. I am going to do this. I will do this. And nothing's going to stop me from doing this. You can see the power in that, the determination in that. Well, I'm trying to do it, like, you know, but can't get my head around it. Where's that going to end up?
Right.
Are you really making it? Remember, heaven's a choice. And we can choose everything that heaven is not, or we can choose heaven. Okay, when you try to say no to the ego, you don't really want to say no to the ego. You're just not sure, you know, if you want this, but you don't know, you've never had this, say, but, you know, the things here are like. All this indecision is in there. The ego loves it. Okay? Make conscious decisions, and everything, the power of God will literally come in behind you. It was one of the first things that I learned to do. Every conscious decision that I made after I woke up, that was it. It just happened after that. No more conflict. Make your mind up. Exactly what you want. Because that's one line that Jesus says in the Course more than anything else. What is it you want? What is the purpose of this? So if you have a relationship with someone, what's the purpose of that relationship? Is it for your ego self? Or are you going to use this relationship as all relationships should be used for? And that means that this person becomes a mirror, a reflection of everything that you have denied in yourself. That's to give the relationship a holy basis. That's you now become one with this person, because this person is going to show you everything that's in your unconscious mind. Because everything you react to in this relationship, now you take full responsibility for it. Or you can choose now to fix the other person, to change the other person, for the other person to take even a little bit of responsibility. You're a little bit of an asshole. You know, just a little bit. Even if it's only 1%, I'll take 99. But remember what Jesus says about the 99 sheep. What did he do with them?
He was looking for the one.
He left them.
Yeah.
Because there were nothing without the other one. That's what he's talking about. Responsibility, forgiveness, love. It's total. It's complete. If there are 100 people in this room and you love 99 of them without a doubt, and there's one asshole in the room, then you hate everybody. Simple as that. If it ain't complete, if it ain't total, it ain't love. And that's in this world is the oneness. You know, if you don't love everybody, or sorry, what I mean is if you're not willing to love everybody here in this world, then everything else you're doing is always going to be in a state of conflict. If you can get your head around the oneness, then you can speed this process up very, very, very quickly. And the way you love everybody is you exclude nobody. You don't go around telling everybody you love them. You don't have to go around doing all kinds of silly things. Form really doesn't matter. If you get this in the content in your head that you're one with everybody, that then will be expressed through you. You won't have to think about what does that mean to be one with everybody. Because the ego has no understanding of this. The ego has no understanding of what true love is. Because the ego is everything that heaven is not. And if heaven is true love and bliss, then the ego has to make up its own true love and bliss. Sorry, just or Jody first, I think, or whatever.
Well, actually, mine was kind of a segue off of Sandy's. I was wondering, well, I'll use your example you just used. If you 99 out of 100 people in the room you love, and there's one a-hole. It's not that that person has to stop whatever you call an answer. I mean, I'll say the bad behavior or something. It's not that they, this is a question, I'm putting it in the form of a statement. I should turn it around.
Oh,
Is
okay.
it that they have to change their behavior? I think they could, I feel
Who
like
are you
they
talking
could.
about, the one or you?
The one that I labeled
Right.
the asshole. It seems to me that they could still be whoever they are. Well, we could use Hitler. Hitler came in the room, and so we could use it that it's not that they have to change their behavior, it's how I think about it,
You have to change your perception.
my perception.
Because the way that you see them, all right, you need to turn the cheek and see and look at it from a different perspective, because
Got it.
we're all looking through the ego. And we're only seeing what the ego wants us to see. That's what Jesus says in, the images that you see are because you desire to see them. So we're creating these images. So that means we're creating both the good and the bad images.
Right.
Okay, that is what is. All right.
So that's why when Sandy said, I don't want to say the evil word, T-R-Y, to do that. Yeah, well, I don't want to see an evil stare. So, that it's not that, I was wondering what she was looking for. Was she wondering how she still felt about that image of the a-hole, or was it that the a-hole didn't become an angel? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
No,
because
what I was saying was, I don't expect that person to change. Nothing shifted in me. I was expecting something to shift in me, and it doesn't seem to.
Right. So
Oh, okay.
right.
Okay,
So
okay, got it.
Yeah.
yeah. So let's just stay with that a second, right?
Yeah.
Can you say what you see?
Can I say what?
What you
What
see?
what
Can
saw.
you tell me your perception of that time and let me reinterpret it for you?
What was the image you saw?
Oh, I don't
And
know.
what was your thoughts around it?
I don't know. I didn't really have an example.
Right. Oh, that's okay then.
Yeah.
But ultimately, if that's staying with you, it means you haven't seen the whole truth of it.
Right.
So it's literally the truth in any situation that's going to set you free from it.
Right. Well, okay. I get the taking responsibility. All right. It's not
Yeah.
the person. It's in. I think where I get stuck is like, okay, it's my responsibility. Then I start to feel like a big piece of shit.
Yeah,
Literally.
because remember what I say, taking responsibility is not about blaming yourself.
Right.
So,
Well,
not, but
that's where I
everything's,
get stuck.
yeah, but that's okay, because where you were stuck before that wasn't taking responsibility.
Right.
So all you've done, remember this is like a big chess game. You've made a move, now you've taken responsibility.
Right.
Okay, now the ego makes a move. Then you make a move.
Oh yeah.
Alright, so what you've done now, you're taking responsibility, we are not blaming anybody out of you. You did the most basic reaction possible, you blame yourself. Now you have to remove that from yourself.
Okay. How?
Huh?
How?
The truth.
But yeah. But even.
Because when you're looking at it, the truth is that yes, you projected that out.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
You
Right.
created that scene. That's the truth.
Right. That's the truth.
But that's only the truth of that situation. Now there's another truth in bliss, is why did you project it out? That's the truth you must find next.
Right. 'Cause
So the
that's-
first truth is, this person's not responsible.
Right.
I'm responsible.
Right.
Now if you let it stop at that,
Mm.
now you're going to immerse yourself in guilt. So what you need to do is the next step now is, why am I responsible? And it's always coming from the belief in separation in your mind. So now, if you did that properly, you wouldn't feel like a piece of shit. So feeling like a piece of shit is a good thing, because it's just saying to you, Sandy, you tried to do this, stop trying to do it and now do it. Do you know what I mean? Like, because when you start to do this correctly, you will feel that you're doing this correctly.
Huh.
So by you not feeling, overly peaceful or joyous about this, it's
Right.
telling you one thing.
Yeah.
I've tried to do it. Or what a lot of people say to me is, they'll say, oh, I thought I did that. Remember, the thinker is the ego. So if you think you've done anything, be sure you haven't done. So thinking and trying are the exact same. So,
I'm just trying to apply this to my life and give a practical example. And obviously the 30-second description. At work, I work with a woman, and the way the project works, I have a responsibility, she has a responsibility. Together, if we both do our responsibilities, the project gets completed. And I'm not able to do her responsibility.
Yep,
And she is not doing her responsibility.
right,
And it's causing me internal,
right.
and
Yeah,
I'm not trying to deny or rationalize.
okay, yeah.
And I'm not trying to put her in the bad room, but I'm just trying to wonder,
Yeah, you're trying not to see her as wrong either.
And I'm one with her.
Right,
I
okay,
can't
so,
overtalk her.
right, well, let's look at this, right. The first thing I'll say to you on this, it's not the situation. It's your thoughts around the situation. So when she doesn't take responsibility, what's your thoughts around that? How does that make you feel? How do you see her? Be honest now.
No, I've told her to her face.
No, forget about it.
Okay, I feel very angry and powerless.
All right, okay, because you're wanting her to
her
do
job.
something. And have you any power over her doing her job?
No.
No. So why do you keep doing that?
Because what she's doing is precluding me from doing my job.
Okay, right, we'll come back to that. So the next thing was then you had a lot of anger. So this is what she's really, the gift that she's bringing to you. Okay, she's showing you the guilt that's in your own mind. Because every time you're angry with someone, it's your attempt to put guilt onto another person. Because that's what it is. You roar and you shout at them and you're saying, here, take this guilt. So she, in the course, what that would be called would be the miracle. And we need people to bring us the miracle. We need people to reflect back to us what we need to let go of. Because those feelings that you have inside you are covering up the bliss that's inside you. So as long as your bliss is covered up inside you, you're going to have needs, expectations, demands, desires, projections, rationalizations, all of those things. So what I say to people is there's a door inside you, get it open as quickly as possible.
Well, my boss, for instance, who does like have power over the situation, only because it's interesting, he really has the much more, I'm going to call it Zen attitude.
Yeah.
Bottom line, I raised money at a university. So the point of my story is, he said, oh, no problem, then you just won't raise any money. And I was like, wait, what? And he goes, yeah, and that'll be fine. And it's just, and to me, I don't get any of the money that I raise.
Yeah.
But I'm amazed that, okay, that's how I can get to my Zen state. And I guess it's my ego saying, no, I want to say at the end of the year, I raised $4 million.
Yeah. Well, why do you want to do that? What's the motivation? And we talked about this in the last workshop and we talked about it on Monday night. Why would you do that? Where are you in when you're doing that?
Pardon?
Where are you?
I'm in the ego. I have to
You're
say
in the
that
persona.
first off.
Because you're doing this because it's enhancing your reputation, it's enhancing your self-image, it's enhancing, making you feel good about yourself. Basically, it's the image you want to have of yourself. In other words, you're selling your soul to the devil. Okay? Your motivation is all about you. It's not about, in the surface it might look like it's all good intentions and all of that, but the reason why it's about you is because the way you've reacted to the situation. Because that's the shadow that's along with you. When you're in the persona, the shadow's right with you, and now the shadow will punch on anybody that interferes the image that you want to create for yourself. Okay? But here's the key. The shadow will end up annihilating you if you stay in your persona for much of your life. Okay? Because what happens eventually, the whole shadow envelops the good root.
So words aside, practically speaking.
Take what she's given you,
Okay.
see the truth in it, let it go, and watch the dynamics of the relationship change. Because it ain't going to change as long as you're attached to the guilt that you see in her. So free her from the guilt by you taking full responsibility, recognizing this anger was an attempt for you to place guilt on her. Take responsibility for it. This is the process here. This is what you were going through. You're in denial of the guilt. You were rationalizing. And the way that you rationalized it was your job. You used that as the weapon, that she wasn't doing her job properly. Okay? And then you suppressed it, you projected, and you reacted to it. So by you now doing forgiveness, which has nothing to do with her, you're taking responsibility for that guilt that you attempted to project on. That'll take you into level 2. Okay? And I'm sure there'll be other relationships, you'll do the same dynamics, and over time, just watch yourself gently wake up into the bliss of life.
When you're talking like this, maybe it's always to everyone, but it feels like what you're saying, this quote that I've heard so many times, seek the kingdom first and all else will be added on to you. am I seeing this correctly? Is it that the shift that we're making is that we've been used to functioning in the world, so we're trying to build this persona by doing good things and getting along and whatever, and thinking that things that are happening in the world matter, whereas the shift is that now you start using everything that's happening in the world to wake up, and you don't care any longer if you lose your reputation, if you hang out, people are, at a mind level, you just let it go of whether somebody's attacking you or whatever, because now you're using all that to seek the kingdom first,
Yeah,
right?
we're going to cover all of that in the last class.
Oh.
Do you know what I mean? Like about the reputation, all of that. And I think it was Rumi that says that, allow your reputation to be destroyed. As long as you keep defending it, you're defending the ego. So when Jesus says, don't be concerned what you wear from morning to night and from night to morning, that's what he was talking about, the reputation. It's our false image. Okay? It's the image that we have about ourselves. And we're wearing it all the time. And if anybody comes in and says, you're not a very nice person, or you're not a very good architect, or you're not a very good this, or not good that, just look at how much you're going to defend this image that you have of yourself. And what you're really defending is the ego. And I remember less than 100 years ago here in this country and many other countries, if I had said anything, Brent, about your reputation, you got a slap in the face, and then we would have had a Joe. Basically, that's who people were lining up to kill for the ego. That's how insane that this
Can we
world.
bring that back?
Well, it's not that you're it's
It sounds a
happening.
lot more gratifying.
But you see, the funny thing about it is this, right? Every time that you blame anybody in this world, that's what you're doing. That's why there's no difference in content and form in this. A murder's thought is the same as you committing a murder. Because that thought is being projected out, and it will take form, and it is taking form in the world. Look how many people are murdering. Every thought in your mind has been manifested in this world. Every thought of hate, every thought of murder, every thought of rape, every thought of torture. All right? Everything that's happening in the world is just a thought that has become manifest. So when Carl Jung, and the way Carl Jung put it was, if you don't make what's unconscious conscious, no, he says, you don't become enlightened by imagining beings of light. He says you become enlightened when you make the unconscious conscious. So everything that's outside of us, everything you see in this world is our unconscious mind. Okay? And to make it conscious, you have to take responsibility for everything in this world. And that means you look at everything in this world and you say, that's me, that's me, that's me, that's me, that's me. Okay? That's the oneness that we're talking about. The way Jesus put it in the Bible was, if you don't make what's unmanifest manifest, what's unmanifest will destroy you. It's the same thing. So what's unmanifest is our unconscious mind all around us. That's the only way that we can see it, and it's the only way we can deal it. And the good thing is, you only need to detach from what you're reacting to. Okay, anything you see and you don't react to it, leave it alone. Don't interfere with it. The only thing that you're supposed to do is basically anything you react to, anything that annoys you, irritates you, pisses you off, or makes you angry, you're attached. And it's only a thought. It's not people. What we do is we place the thoughts in the people. And then we think we have to do something with these people. So in your situation with that girl, or that person colleague you're working with, the only thing, the pure content of your relationship with her is a thought. That's it. Everything else is window dressing. It's all props. Everything. It's all set up so you can see the very thought that you need to let go.
So can you, I want to try to translate that into plain language, that everything that upsets you, tell me if this is a true statement, everything that upsets you or angers you is an opportunity to keep climbing the ladder up.
That's the kitchen.
Somebody's
It's-
chopping the
They're making food in the kitchen.
Sorry, I thought there was somebody at the door, so that's
No,
okay.
no, no.
So
Yeah, everything's an
person,
opportunity.
place, or thing that upsets you or
Yeah.
angers you is if you could just retrain your mind to go, there's an opportunity here, now let me work through the
Yeah.
steps.
But I would do it in reverse, because that's what everybody else is doing. They're,
Say that again, how? What do you mean?
you see, everybody that I've come across who's doing the course, they're all reacting. They're reacting to the projectors, right?
Okay.
Okay? And what are they reacting to? They're reacting to their shadow, aren't they? Yeah?
Okay.
Right. Remember, what is creating the shadow?
Or-
Persona.
okay.
So we can deal with the effects of the persona, which is the shadow, and we can keep doing forgiveness lessons with that. Yeah?
Okay.
But we're still creating more and more if we don't deal with the persona. Aren't we?
I think I'm a little confused on who or what the persona is, because
You see,
a few minutes ago you said the ego is the thinker.
Yes.
So what's the difference between the thinker and the persona?
Well, the persona is the thinker. That's the intellect. Every...
Oh, so there is no difference. Oh, okay.
That's
That's
what
where
you-
I was confused.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you see, if you're only dealing with the negative and you're not dealing with the good and what you believe is right in the world, you're still attached to what's right and good and you're only dealing with the wrong and the bad, then, you know, your attachments to the right and the good is creating more good and bad all the time. Because remember, it's the persona, you can't have good without having bad in this world, isn't that right? So if you take good out of it, bad comes out of it. And if you take righteousness out of it, then, see? So as long as we keep what we believe to be good and right in the world, we're creating what's bad and wrong in the world. And if you're and what's bad and wrong in the world is an effect of what we think is good and right. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
So we have to look at the cause. And the cause of the shadow is our seeking specialness. That's what the persona is. Remember, that's what the whole dream started off with in heaven, in the tiny mad idea. We asked God for specialness, He says no, and we said, bugger you, we're going to get it anyway. Okay? So that's what the persona is. It's a room full of specialness, and in the Course Jesus says, specialness only becomes a problem when it's denied. And that's why we're angry with people. You see, in your instance, you're angry with this person because she was denying you your specialness. Where was your specialness? It was in the good room. And you wanted to make it more special. You know? And this person was blocking that, preventing that from happening. If you didn't, basically, if you weren't invested into doing, you know, the work that you were doing, then you wouldn't have had that problem with her.
But what about keeping his job and paying the mortgage
Yeah, but hold on a minute.
when it's a
What?
survival issue?
That's a different thing. I just want to stay with this. I want to kind of show you how you created, you know, that anger in that situation with that workaholic, yeah? And the way that you created was you were seeking for something in the world and you were heavily invested in the outcome. Is that right? So that's what created that whole situation in your job. So imagine if you were doing that now and you were coming from love, you were coming from a state of mind that's totally unconditional. Yeah? Well, then you wouldn't have had that reaction, would you? Yeah? Can we all relate this into conflicts that we have? We are the creator of it. No one else is creating anything. We're creating them, and the way that we're creating them is we're creating them out of our persona, which is the ego, which has pure selfishness. It's all about me, me, me. But we might have the illusion that it's good for everybody, or it's good for you, you know. That justifies then our intentions that this is all right. Because we need to be right, and we need to be good. And if we're going to insist on being right and good, then we're going to have to deal with everybody that's wrong and bad. Not right, Roy?
Yes, I guess so.
So, there's another way to deal with who's wrong and bad, and that means to let go of what you think is right and good.
So do we not say anything in those work situations, or?
But you see, you're missing the point. If you weren't looking for something from that person, you wouldn't need to say anything.
If we're not going to change instantly and on our journey there, do we just work it out within ourselves and?
Couldn't you do
See,
self-empowerment?
You see, if you have someone and they're coming to you all the time and saying, give me this, 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 right? Well, you know, it's going to annoy you, isn't it? Yeah? And this is what we're doing with people all the time. In our mind, in our thoughts. We're trying to change them. In our minds, we're nagging away, nagging away. If you'd only do this, if you'd only do that, if you do this, we're correcting and we're doing all kinds of things. You know? And there's no difference in doing that in your mind and actually physically. You know, anybody watch The Simpsons? You know, I love The Simpsons. I remember, I remember the episode where Bart and Lisa, they go up and Homer's in bed and everything. They're going somewhere. Can we go? Can we go? Can we go?
Oh, right.
All day and all night. And Homer's, no, 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 no. Yes! He finally broke and he said yes. Well, when people react to you with anger all the time, they're really saying, stop trying to fucking change me. Change yourself. Simple as that. You know, we have to reinterpret everything. Then we kind of think that person's not very nice. You know, so we get to place our guilt on them. First we want to change them. If they don't change them, they react, and now they're angry, or they're not nice, or they're not loving, and now, well, that's a bad person. The whole thing was set up to get them into the bad room from the start. See? Yeah, if I didn't, you can't argue with anybody if you don't want anything from them.
Now, if you have a business and you have employees and they're not doing their job,
Different.
then you can fire them, but you don't get mad at them.
No. You see, what I said, and I said it to Brando also, and I said it to a few other people, is, you know, if you're in a business or whatever, right, you know, you create a personality for it. You know, you can have your business completely right-minded. Do you know what I mean? Or you can be doing it with the ego. So your business becomes your personality. How are you going to treat bad debts? How are you going to treat people who are not nice? And you have that in, and you use that for everybody. Do you know what I mean? Like, so a truth in this world is anything that begins with we. Okay? It doesn't matter what you say if it begins with I or you, it's untrue. Okay? Because there is no I or you. And to add anything after those two sentences, you're coming from the ego. If I say to you, we are all guilty, it's true. Why? Because we begins. It includes all of us. And once you have we as one, including all of us, it doesn't matter what you add after that. Because we are all one. And your perception after that is irrelevant. So you could say we're all guilty, we're all innocent, we're all assholes, we're all this, as long as you start with we.
Even when people make the comment like, oh, people do this, it's like they're excluding themselves.
Of course.
They don't do it.
Yeah. So if there's anything, remember, love is total oneness, and if there anything or anybody you're excluding out of here, you're making a choice for the ego. You're in denial. Okay? Go ahead, Regina.
So physical survival, like if I can understand if you want to look good and produce so your boss likes you and people respect you, but what about if you're threatened with losing the job and not being able to pay your mortgage? And that is very scary. And feed your kids. What
Yeah.
about that?
Well, what's the basis of all of that?
Yeah,
Laugh.
Fear.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, nothing's going to change because you're in a mind that's fearful.
Right.
Okay? So, you're always going to be fearful of situations, of people, of lack, of all of these, because you have, the problem is not the lack, the problem is not the fear. What's the problem?
I believe in separation.
No. Choice. Everything comes after choice. You choosing the ego, then everything that you're experiencing is an effect of that. Mortgage, money, food, lack, beauty. Okay? Everything begins and ends with choice. Everything.
So if you're fearful,
Well, I was actually gonna
yeah,
ask that say he's upset and this woman is keeping him from meeting his goals and stuff. Even if he goes into the ego and he's upset, what is he gonna do about it? He still can't force her, so that's not a solution anyway. There's nothing he can do anyway, so why choose to remain upset about it? You know?
well, if
'Cause
you
now-
can't feed your kids, that's a very scary.
But he still can't
thing.
force her to do her job. So now you're just choosing to stay in, like, I don't know, pain, suffering, or whatever, whereas you can choose peace and try
Even-
that.
Even if you can't feed your
But
kids?
it's not gonna change even if because he can't get her, he can't force her to do the
But
job.
we're wired biologically to survive.
Okay, let's move on. All right.
Change them.
All right, let's move on. I'm going to run through a few of these quickly.
2:45.
Right. Because we have another section to do on this, right? So I'm just going to put through these rather a little quickly. We'll be doing more of this in the final day, so I'm not going to cover every topic today because we have a lot of time. Other choices that we have, right, are sublimation. Displacement. Okay. Now, are these choices? Are the choices?
Yeah, I think so.
There's sub-choices. Because, again, let's look at denial. The moment that you start to deny, all right, again, you're going to have this build-up of internal stress. People call it discomfort, annoyance, anger, whatever's in it. It's coming from denial. So what people do with this then, sublimation, anybody tell me? What's sublimation? We did it a number of times.
When you transfer that energy that you have onto something that's more productive.
Yeah. We're taking this negative energy and we're basically using it now in a more constructive and positive way in the world. The example I used was Mike Tyson with all that rage and anger that was inside him. His manager took that, put him into a boxing ring, and he was able to make him world champion. So he sublimated all of that negative energy. Artists do this, musicians do it, everybody does it. Okay? So that's sublimation. Alright? Displacement. Anybody?
Kick the dog because your boss was mean to you that day.
Okay. Right?
Sounds like, right,
Yeah. So that's how you would explain it if somebody asked you what displacement is.
kick the cat.
Oh,
Kick the wife.
oh, that's better, Roy, that's better.
Anybody else?
Boy, you're mean.
Bedroom.
Anybody else? Displacement is where you take this negative energy and you place it onto a less threatening person or object. So, to put it into context, what it is this. You could be sitting in the office and your boss, I'll use you, Josh, right? You're sitting with your colleague and you're pretty pissed off with her and you can't say anything to her because maybe she's in a bad mood, all right? But you're really boiling up inside. So this energy's boiling up inside, and maybe you go out then and you're fuming anger, and the next thing you meet someone or someone you know, or you go home and you have an argument with your partner or with someone in the street or whatever. Basically now you're displacing that energy onto someone who, you know, maybe she was your boss. So we don't give out to our bosses because we'll get the sack, so we have to shut our mouth. Okay? So then what we do is, you know, the person goes home, eats the head, gives out to the wife about the dinner being cold. Displacement always works down the way. Okay? So then the wife will give out to the children. The children will kick the dog. The dog will bite the cat. So it always goes down the way. Alright? So what really happens is you're the victim. You start off as the victimer, or the victim. So you're in the office and the boss is giving out to you and you're raging inside. So you're a victim. And then when you use displacement, you become the
Victimizer.
Okay, so the victim and the victimizer are the same. Everybody who is a victim will become a victimizer. So when you're playing that role of the victim, be careful and look out for that. So suppression also, we did in the last one, is denial. Give me another one. These are all effects. This is what I mean is they're sub-choices. So once we choose denial, all of these are automatic.
So if I'm angry at a colleague, but I don't want to express it, I may just try not to feel it. I'll suppress it.
Yes, yes. Comes automatic.
I'll get an ulcer maybe.
Yeah, because you want to keep it hidden. So you'll keep the anger hidden with your boss. Maybe Josh, you keep the anger hidden with your colleague or whatever, but everything you keep hidden, you're suppressing it down, you will project it and you'll displace it out then onto someone or something less threatening, you know. And people could kick a door, they could punch a pillow, they do all those things, all forms of displacement.
That did happen to me, because what happened was, when I was trying to get through to her and I couldn't, then I was rude to the receptionist.
There you go. There you go. You see, you know, all of this is the truth.
And just to finish the thought, then I got in trouble for treating the receptionist in a not nice way. And in my mind, I'm like, are you kidding? She's not doing her job, and you're upset because I didn't say, you know, no thank you.
But you see how it came full circle? You were back the victim again.
Oh yeah, no, I learned my lesson.
Do you know what I mean? But this is it. Like, we're all basically 1 minute we're the victim, the victimizer, the victim, and we're in and out of these roles all the time. Like, you know. So again, what else have we here? I'm looking at the effects of denial here, because if you deal with the denial, you won't have to deal with all of these. It's a faster, quicker way of doing this. If you're not going to deal with the denial, then you're going to have to deal with these individually. Does that make sense?
And addiction assists you in doing all those things. That's why addiction.
Okay, so the next one then,
Protection?
right? Altruism,
Altruism?
okay, is an effect of denial. Do you know what altruism is?
Being nice so you can feel good about yourself.
Yeah. It's basically good intentions. You should know this one, Josh. Yeah?
Well, it's putting yourself in the good group.
Yeah. But that was the motivation because you wanted to have a nice image.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, so we're doing things that look to be really holy or more than thou or whatever, right? But ultimately we're being nice to people, and all of these things is because it makes us feel good. It puts us into the good room. Okay? There's not very much truth about it. Now, what I say to people is don't stop doing nice things for people. But just do it now with the true motivation behind this, that you're not doing this to actually make yourself feel good. Do it unconditionally rather than conditionally. That's the choice.
I just wanted to double check that I'm following this correctly, in using Josh's story. If he wasn't whatever you said, nasty to the receptionist. And he said, oh, I'm gonna be altruistic, I'm not gonna say anything nasty to her, I'm better than that, but damn, I'm mad, and I'd like to kick her, or whatever you want. That's just as bad, having the thought.
The other side of the coin,
And-
yeah. Yeah.
And he'd just be stuffing it down and have to deal with it sometime
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah,
so.
you see, remember we're living in duality. So you always have a choice. This is what today's about, is choice. So when you're in a state of denial, all right, you can take that denial and you can displace it, sublimate it onto things, or you can basically be in a state of denial and go down this path, all right? Remember, denial's not a very nice place to be. It makes you feel really bad. So this is why people then will choose altruism. They'll have a life where they're basically now doing all these good deeds and everything. And it's to make them feel good. But what they're still
Or
doing,
look good.
they're still doing, they're
Yeah.
still in a state of denial.
Got it.
So this is the two rooms all the time, the
Okay.
choices that we have. This is the ego's choice.
Got it.
You know, the ego's always giving you basically opportunities to feel good about yourself. So when Jesus says, lead us not into temptation, what he really said there was, let us seek not outside ourselves. Okay? Because when you seek outside yourself, you're saying to the ego, I want you to help me to feel good. And you know what's coming. A lot of hurt. Because the ego is just jumping up and down for joy, because the ego needs your fear, your guilt, your belief to energize it. And it's a greedy so-and-so. It'll suck you dry. So again, these are all choices. Another one I'm going to put in here. Suffering. The effects of your choice to suffer are endless. So why would someone be crazy enough making a choice to suffer?
To
There's
punish
two
for
examples.
guilt, To punish oneself.
There's one example is someone who chooses to suffer, they're making the choice and they're not aware of it.
Call out in love.
No, just stay with me a second. People who are suffering, right? They're suffering because they're making a choice that they're not aware of.
They're choosing to be the victims and they're in the good room.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. You know, they're not aware of the choice they're making.
But unconsciously they want to feel like
Yeah.
they want to be in the good room, so they're the innocent victim.
That's what Jesus meant when he was on the cross and he says, Father, forgive them, they know not what to do. Basically those people, I'm not talking about it real, were basically hurting themselves. They weren't hurting him. And he knew that. So we're actually making a choice to suffer. So when you're in judgment, you're making a choice to suffer. When you're rationalizing, you're making a choice to suffer. When you're in denial, you're making a choice to suffer. You're not knowing you're making those choices, but you're still making those choices, aren't you? Everybody?
So that's really the effect of the 5 things above.
Here?
The suffering is really the effect of the 5 things above it.
Well, suffering is an effect.
Yeah, it's an effect.
Yeah. It's an effect of a choice. But then there's people who choose to suffer. And they know exactly what to choose. That's the ego's idea of atonement.
Oh.
They're going to basically atone for the sins that they've committed, and God's going to forgive them and say, come up to me, the righteous, and all the bad people are going to hell. Okay, so anybody who chooses to suffer, that's their thinking. That's the ego's idea of atonement. The atonement in A Course in Miracles is where you take responsibility and become one with everybody in this world. Full stop. Okay? So suffering is a choice. Let's see, there's that many in here, I'm just... Okay, and one of the biggest choices of all, we'll finish this off, we'll take a little 5-minute break and then we'll finish off the last hour. Now, time is the biggest choice of all. You are in charge of it. You're waking it up. Alright? Now you can stretch that waking it up over many lifetimes, or you can do it in this lifetime. The choice is you. You're in charge of time. So the way I say it to people is this: the more you let go, the more you wake up. Simple as that. Okay? If you're going to try to do this, then you're going to be flying over and back to Ireland for a couple of lifetimes. Many lifetimes. Okay, try and A Course in Miracles don't fit well together. Okay? So time is very, very important. Okay, so remember what the Course says at the beginning. Only the time that you give to this is voluntary. Isn't that right? So how much time are you giving to this? Are you doing this as a hobby? Because pain is a full-time job. Alright, so if you're only doing this as a hobby, then really is God looking down and saying, oh, this person's ready to come home. This person's ready to come home. Because God ain't going to take anybody or help anybody out of anywhere when they still want something else. So how much time do you give to the ego? How much time do you give outside yourself? And how much time are you giving inside yourself? Because when you leave the body aside at this lifetime, you're going inside. And if you don't go inside before that happens, you're going to have a very fearful experience. Okay? So you can undo all of that fear, all of those experiences as you go through life every day. Do your meditations, do your quiet time, do your contemplation. Spend time with yourself. Stop running away from yourself. Every time that you're looking for a relationship, every time you're looking for an attachment, you're running away from yourself. Okay? There's one part of you that's suffering, and the other part is desperately looking for the answers to that suffering. Those two parts are the persona and the shadow. The part of you is the shadows and pain, and you're deeply into the persona looking for the answers. That's why everybody is on this search, doing the course. But they don't realize is the search is what's causing the suffering. What is the only thing you have to do in the course? It's the most beautiful line. And if you could just do this one line, that's it. That's A Course in Miracles. It's the shortest way to do the course.
Remove all obstacles.
Come
Too long.
empty-handed. Come empty-handed. Empty-handed on me.
Love that.
Shorter. Be still and know
Be still.
that I am God. He is. Be still. Be present. Completely. Our minds are wandering away from who we are. As long as you continue to allow that to happen, you ain't going to know anything. You're going to think you know a lot. That's the ego. Okay? All we have to learn is to be still. So this search that we're on, to find the answers to suffering, you've got to let it go. You have to learn to be still. Because it's full of gold. It's only fueling the ego, the shadow, and everything that's wrong in your life. But we can't let it go, because we need to find the answers. I did the teacher's course in Ireland. There were 8 modules involved in it, and we got to the last module, and I says, everything else we've done, forget about it now. You should have seen their faces. You know, and that's what you were talking about in the course. You know, let everything go. You know, forget this course. Come to God with holy, empty hands. So everything that you learn is a regurgitation of what you already know. You don't need to know it. You don't need to learn it, because it's all bullshit. But you have to learn it to know that it's bullshit, because you just think that it's all so real and so serious. And the only way you're going to know that is to get to the truth of it. So the sooner you get to the truth of life and who you are, everything else is an effect of that. You'll be a much happier person. Anybody who I have worked with people, and I can see this. If anybody was a serious student of A Course in Miracles, they could wake up within 3 years. If they basically put their mind to it. But you have to have one thing first in your mind to do that. You have to have one thought. There's nothing else that I want. If you don't have your mind made up about that, then wait until you do. Because you're only going to create conflict in your life. What you can do is you can get to level 2 and you can become right-minded and you'll have a great life. A great life. Do you know? Or you can say, I want to wake up in level 3. But to wake up in level 3, you have to want nothing else on level 1, which is the body or the world. When you have that mind made up, then you'll wake up. Okay, we'll take a break for 5 minutes, and then we'll finish off with the last hour. Okay, folks. To be spiritual, people kind of think it's, a philosophy. It's a way of life. It's basically, wear the right clothes, eat the right foods, and all of these. This is all form. Okay? True spirituality comes from content. This is why Jesus says in the Course, seek to change your mind first. Okay? Eckhart Tolle says in The Power of Now that spirituality is a level of consciousness. It's a state of mind. Okay? So I want to just go through some of the choices that you are also making, but these are choices, the more that you wake up, the more you're going to basically be putting emphasis on. So, the first choice is 1. And we just talked about this. Alright? So the choice is here now, right? These are the content in your mind. What I was saying is, if you can get your head and deal with the law of one, the choice of oneness, then you're not in denial of oneness. Everything wrong in your life is coming from your denial of your oneness. So if this is the world, okay, and everything in the world is fragmented, okay? And that's billions and billions and billions, okay? And that's the good room and the bad room. That's the way we've divided it up. And what we have to do is we have to look at this world and get our head around it and reinterpret it into oneness. Okay? And the way this works is this, is every part in here contains the whole. A grain of sand contains the entirety of heaven.
It's like a hologram.
So, here's the thing about waking up. When you wake up here, everything wakes up because everything's one. Really what's happening is, now you're waking up to the oneness that has always been here. The mirror didn't fragment. Imagine this is a mirror, okay? This is us all as one. And then when you hit that mirror, it all fragments into the pieces. That's what the ego told us. That's what the tiny mad idea, that this really happened. Okay? That we all are separate, that we all fragmented. This is the story of illusions. This didn't happen. But as long as you continue to believe it happens, okay, this is what the effect of that's going to be. So, here, okay, you have to see the world and realize that there's nothing in this world that's separate or different or unique or special or better or worse than anybody else. Remember what I said. When you get down on your knees and you pray to God and try to be at one with God, it's impossible. Why? This is what everybody... Huh?
There's a separateness, you and God.
Yeah. This is what everybody is doing in religion. They're getting down on their knees and they're telling God how sinful and how guilty they are and how much they love Him and how they're going to be at one with Him. Yeah? If you want to be one with God, you have to be one with everybody here first. Leave God out of the question. God ain't interested in parts. Okay? He's only interested in one. So no matter how much you pray, how much you try to commune and be one with God, it ain't going to happen. This is what we have to learn. So, for you to wake up into that realization that we're one, this is what you have to live. So, let's say you're living, you're awake, and you're at level 1. Well now, okay, all of these little different parts, okay, you have to start to treat them all the same. You have to demonstrate that you're not separate from anybody. So when you look on the news and you see a guy who's basically machine gunned down, say walked into a school and killed 30 kids, very hard to be at one with that person, isn't it?
Yes.
So again, you can see
Especially
this,
here.
this is not easy. Okay?
How do we do that? I mean, the other,
It's impossible that you can do that from level 1. You can only do that from level 2.
Yeah.
Because there's no way you can get your head around that in this world. Because from this world's perspective, that is completely barbaric, insane, murderous, you name it. And if you're looking at it from the perspective of the split mind of right and wrong and good and bad, then you're only going to see it one way. You don't see it. So the law of one is this, is you look at anybody in this world and you can become one with that person by saying that person's not different from me. You can do that, you're well on your way here. You're going to basically avoid a lot of conflict by your continuous denial of the oneness. Okay? Because it's the denial of the oneness that's causing everything. Yeah?
What helps me do that, Michael, is if I hear about, some horrible situation or something horrible that a person did, what I do is I realize this is all a dream and that I have been that person, I am that person, and I have done those horrible things throughout many lifetimes, and this is just all a dream and none of it's real.
Yeah.
And that's what helps me not go into reaction.
Yeah. Yeah. And the second choice that we have here, right, authority. You'll have read in the course, Brent, about the authority problem.
Yes.
Who's the authority problem with?
I have not.
You haven't read it? Okay. In the course, it tells us about our authority problem with God. The authority problem is not with God. Who's it with?
self.
Yeah, fundamentally, yeah, but in this world,
Each other.
with all these little parts. You see, the authority problem the authority problem we have with each other breaks the oneness.
You mean with everyone, or just some people, authority figures?
It doesn't matter, all it takes is one. If you have an authority problem with one person in this world, you break the complete oneness. Remember, oneness has to be total, has to be complete. So, we're here until we don't have a problem with anybody else's authority here. What this means is this, is you're not here to conquer or be conquered. You're not here, if you're here to be conquered, that means you're a victim. If you're here to conquer, it means you're the victimizer. So the authority problem is when you're neither victimizer or victim, whether you're neither right nor wrong, or whether you're good nor bad. Okay, the authority problem transcends that. So when you can transcend that split mind, you will transcend the authority problem. As long as you're attached to the split mind of right, wrong, and good and bad, you're going to have a problem with authority. You know why? Because the bad people are not doing what they're supposed to. That's why they're bad people, isn't it? Yeah? So you need the authority problem. So you see how the ego uses the authority problem to its benefit by getting you to condemn the bad people. Yeah? So where's the authority problem in your life? Because you have a choice in this. You have an authority problem with your colleague. Okay? That, and then the effect of that could be you placing the guilt on her. That's the reason why you have the authority problem is because you want to see the guilt with her. So everything's connected to everything. You know, and what we're doing here, all of these are connected. You break one of these, you break the whole lot. Okay? So if you have an authority problem, what do? You break the law of one, don't you? And this oneness includes all of us and God. Because when this is all one, that is God with us. We are the effects of God. And you're not God, but there's nothing inside you that's not of God. The next one then. Responsibility is a choice. If you are not willing to take responsibility for everything, what happens?
Name.
We talked
Praise the
about it.
victim.
Victim. Now, look at this. Here we have oneness. Alright? For that to be one, and for you to have no authority problem, you have to take complete responsibility. If you don't take complete responsibility for everything in your life, you're going to have an authority problem, and you're not going to have the law of one. You're not going to have oneness. Isn't that true? Okay? And that means everything that happens in this world, by everybody that's in it, in every lifetime, is you. That's how you take responsibility. That's all you have to do is basically that little acknowledgement. The more that you reinforce this to yourself every day, okay, the effects of this is a very big, big collapse in time. Or like I say, you can just go through life and dealing with what you react to, or you can be proactive and say, I'm going to do this. I'm going to wake the fuck up. Okay?
That's a great title for a book.
It is. Okay, we'll run through these. Okay, and we have we've already did this one. And what I'm doing here, right, I have a video on this on YouTube, and it's free for everybody. It's called the 13 Spiritual Laws. Okay, and they're all choices, and they're all connected with each other. So if you really want to dial this in, just basically learn and master these as if you're learning to drive a car, to go out on the road, like the rules of the road, because this is the rules for living. You know, if you want a happy, joyful, peaceful, loving, living life, you know, it ain't going to happen without you learning how to do it. So it's the same as you would like to go out on a Sunday for a nice drive and, you know, and put the hood down and all of this. Of course you're going to enjoy it. But you had to learn to do that. And that's only a freaking car, but out in the country. This is about you, you know, waking up that when you lie down at night time that you can go anywhere in any universe that you want. Simple as that. There's nothing you can't do. There's nothing that you are not. But for you to attain that state of mind, for you to be able to do that, you ain't going to do it if you're continuously seeing yourself as a little part and then seeing everybody else fragmented around you. Power comes from the one. Okay? Anybody can have this power at any time. There's nobody up there deciding you're good or bad or you're right or wrong. There's nobody up there going to make it happen. You are the boss. You decide your destiny, whether it's going to hell or heaven. The next one is the law of focus. And you all know this. Focus is a choice. You can focus on everything wrong in your life, and you'll see everything that's wrong in everybody else's life. Or you can focus to see everything that's right in your life, and now you'll start to see everything that's right in other people. In other words, right, where you put the attention of your mind, that's going to become your life. So if your focus is on guilt, then you're going to surround yourself with guilt because that's what your subconscious is creating. If your focus is on love, on oneness, and basically responsibility and being without judgment, okay, then that's what's going to be in your life. It'll take time, but it will come. Whatever you give attention to will expand in your life. So if you have lack, and you're focusing on this lack, maybe you have no money all the time. This is what you're creating all the time. You're creating a life of lack, because that's where you're giving all your attention. Maybe, you know, it could be lack of love. You're feeling sorry for yourself. You're playing a victim. Well, again, you're doing this all the time. You're giving attention to those thoughts, which means that is going to be your world. Whatever you give attention to, you're going to manifest. Okay? But it could be, right, I want to manifest a diamond ring. Okay? Or $1 million.
Or a new necklace.
Yeah. All right. But ultimately, all I'm doing is I'm asking the ego for the $1 million. And the ego will give you $1 million worth of pain. So, again, focus. The next one then, love. And love comes down to choice. And it's very basic. Conditional, unconditional. Simple as that. If you think you love someone, investigate it. Look at it very deeply. And don't come back to me and tell me it's unconditional love. Some people come back to me and tell me about their dogs. Oh, I have a great unconditional relationship with my dog. My dog loves me unconditionally. I love my dog unconditionally. Is that true? No. The dog's only with you to get fed and a nice warm bed. Stop feeding the dog, treating the dog as well, and see how the dog treats you. Okay? Everything in this world is conditional. Okay? Everything. So you must find those conditions and say to yourself, do I want to keep this? Because the cost of this is everything. Okay? So in love, okay, it comes down to that. You have, in a conditional relationship, you have demands, expectations, needs, and desires. Okay? It's all about me, 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 me. In an unconditional relationship, there's no demands, no expectations, no needs, and no desires. The choice is yours. Giving is a choice. Okay? Like love, it's a choice. It is between conditional and unconditional. When you're doing things for people, all right, altruism, are you doing it to make yourself feel good? Are you doing it expecting something in return? If you give with conditions, you give nothing, and that's what you're going to receive. You're always going to be in lack. Do you know why this world is in lack? Because everybody who gives anything is given it conditionally, and everybody's in lack.
So no strings attached.
That's it. No investment in the outcome. No investment this person likes me or doesn't like me. No investment that this person's going to do the same for me. You will have these expectations. You will have these conditions. Your first step is to become aware of them and then put a value on them. Do you want this to continue or are you going to let it go? Try living an unconditional life to see how easy it is. Diane?
Yes, but even if we give unconditionally with no expectations, a lot of times that giving is because it feels good to give.
Of course, but this is what I'm saying. Only you can truly know how you give anything. So you must investigate this and really, really look at this for your motivation and everything you do. And Jesus says this, he says 1,000 times a day, ask yourself, who do I walk with? Because we have been walking with the ego so long, and we've been given with the ego, we've been taken with the ego, we've been given to get with the ego and everything, that we're natural at doing this.
So it's okay to give and feel good about giving?
Of course, but we need to experience that now, and we will experience that now, giving, and then feeling the good, and knowing the truth that this is what I've always been doing. And this is why I've always been in a lack of love, a lack of bliss, a lack of peace, a lack of joy. You know, we're creating our own dramas, our own world here, so at least, wake up and write the best script that you can for yourself in this dream. Because you are the director, and you're also the actor. The observer is the director. That's you. The observer is looking through your eyes all the time. But there's somebody else looking through your eyes. And that's the ego. So as long as you continue to look through the ego's eyes, you're blocking out the observer. Okay? The best guru that you ever had, the best teacher that you will ever have, look in the mirror, look into them eyes. It's you. It's nobody external to you. It's not Jesus. It's you. You are in there. There's another you that's in there, that's just sitting there, completely patient. Not pushing out the thinkers, not pushing out the judger or anything like that, just sitting there. It's that person and that entity and that self of you who chose this personality that you're experiencing here in the world. Okay, remember the personality that you are. Okay, it's like you walked into a shop and you went, I'll have that in red. We choose our personalities. The personality you had in a different lifetime is not the same personality you have today.
I was going to say, is that why it's hard to look at ourselves in the mirror for a few minutes?
Of course. You see, intimacy, people are afraid of intimacy. Because intimacies, break it down, into me see. No one wants intimacy because we're hiding this guilt that's inside. We don't want anybody to look in the eyes, and we don't want to look in the eyes because the eyes are the gateway to the soul. What is the soul? The soul is the gateway to your higher self. Who's the higher self? Your higher self is the gateway to Christ's self. Who's the Christ self? The gateway to God. So you can see this is a big threat to the ego. And what Ken Wapnick used to always say, look at the guilt. So if you can go to a mirror and just basically go to that mirror and look at yourself and try to get past that, then that's the first big step. So, giving, are you giving anything? Because your lack is coming from your lack of giving unconditionally. And then that brings us to reward, which is not really a choice, is it? Is reward a choice?
Must be.
Has to be. Because when we give truly, we receive truly.
You have to choose.
Okay, so when you don't give truly, you're really saying, I don't want to receive anything. So it is a choice. Isn't it?
You also have to be open to receiving, right? Because sometimes people give and then
I
they
don't
don't feel
block
like they
the
deserve
receiving.
it. Yeah.
So reward meaning receiving?
Yep. Then we have acceptance. When you try to change another person, right? What are you not accepting?
Yourself.
What is yourself?
Everyone.
The world.
Anytime that you see a part in here and you say you have to change, I want you to change, I'm upset. Anytime you get upset with anything in this world, you're trying to change something. This is what is. What is oneness. We're all one. Okay? Acceptance is acceptance of oneness. Acceptance is, I accept that you are me. I accept that you want a different experience from me. Okay? So when we try to change someone else, we're trying to say, okay, I want everybody to have the same experience as me as separate. Well, why the fuck did you come here in the first place? Because you could have stayed in heaven in that oneness. Because that's what heaven is. We're all having the same experience. So the whole point of us having this experience is because we all wanted to have different experiences as one. Yeah?
As one.
Yeah. So now, all right, when you go, I want to break this contract, I want you to do this. That's the authority problem. You're breaking the law of one. You're in judgment. Can you accept that someone else is having an experience that you don't agree with? Okay. It's a choice. The choice is when you don't accept one. When you don't accept any part in here, you're saying, I don't accept that we're one.
How would you interpret, like when you're in a situation where you feel that somebody else is trying to change you, is that, and since you want to be taking responsibility for everything that's coming at you, that you're experiencing, and now I'm experiencing somebody trying to change me, does that mean that I'm trying to change myself? Like I'm not accepting myself?
Ultimately in this, there was a man, okay, and he had a donkey, and he had a son, and times were hard, okay, so he had to sell the donkey. So this warm day, just like here in Pasadena, I headed off to the market. It was about 10 miles to the market. So he met this person after about a mile, and they had a chat, and this was out in the country, and the person said to him, that young fella, he said, why don't you put him up in the donkey? And that was a good idea, put him up in the donkey, and carried on his way. Went another while, and he met another man, you know, and talking another little while. And he says, why is that young boy up there? He says, could you not let him walk and look at the sweat on you? Could you not ride in the donkey? So the next thing then, I went another bit and met someone else, and someone else says, why don't you put the little guy up on the donkey with you so the donkey's strong? So again, he took good advice, put the two up on the donkey. Met the next person, it was an old woman, and she basically was disgusted. She says, look at you two men up there on this warm day and that poor donkey. So he had to get off with the donkey, and he was basically now really feeling guilty about the whole thing. Was about to come to the market, and he met this other farmer coming with a donkey in the other direction. And he says, where are you going? He says, oh, bad price at the market today. So your man didn't even go to the market, he turned around and went all the way home. The moral of the story is this. If you're going to go through life, all right, and this person's going to tell you to do this, and this person's going to tell you to do that, this person's going to, what are you doing?
Pleasing them,
More depth.
Giving your power away.
Yes. You're disempowering yourself. The whole point of us here is for us to make conscious decisions, whether they're right or wrong, and take full responsibility for them. That's it. We have to learn to do this. And the way that we learn to do this, unfortunately, is through mistakes. If you go through life and you're afraid to make a mistake, you ain't going to get far. You're putting yourself into a box. There is no mistakes. That's what we all have to learn. There's nobody that comes to this world and goes back the way. Everybody goes up. We're on a spiritual evolution. 40,000 years ago, okay, was the last big shift. When we shifted from Neanderthal man into Homo sapien. What happened there was the two rooms came into play. That's the first time the two rooms of right and wrong, good and evil came to this world. Not 14 billion years ago, only 40,000 years ago. The next big shift is happening now. Neanderthal man had one room and it was completely unconscious, it was completely dark. We went then to the perceived good room, which was perceived light and darkness. Okay? Okay? So we went to the two rooms. The next shift is happening right now, where we're going back to the one room. But this one room now is completely light. That's the awakened mind, level 3. So we're going full spiritual evolution. That's what the Course in Miracles is coming into the world at this moment now, is to help people to wake up.